All right. So the next problem we are going to do substitution, which if you like substitution and I didn't do that here, then keep in mind I would watch this example and then try to do this one on your own using substitution. Or if you still don't feel confident but you want to know how to do it, just let me know. We can go through this one together using substitution. I think I ran out of time. I didn't show you how you also can check those. You are not going to want to graph them. It's going to be very, very difficult to do that because there's going to be a lot more things you have to do. Instead, you have two answers, two coordinate points, x, y, x, y. Deal with the first one. Type it in your first equation. So I'm going to plug x in. So I'm going to do 3. My x value is 1 squared minus 7 times 1. And I get, oh, hold on. I see why. See, that's a problem. I didn't get the right answer, but that's because I didn't type in a squared. So 3x squared minus 7 times 1. And now I get negative 4 like I should. And then I'm going to repeat, but this time I'm going to plug in 3. So I'm going to just go back up here and change these ones to be 3's. And I get 6, which I should. But you also need to check that here. So 5 times 1, which I did that here, but 5 times 1 minus 9, you get negative 4. 5 times 3 minus 9, you get 6. I already did that part when I did this. So really, I only needed to check the top one. But that's how you can check to make sure you're correct. Okay, problem number 2. We cannot do elimination in this problem because this one has an x squared, but this one has an x, and this one has a y and a y squared. So I could do elimination here because I had y and y. If I had x and x or y and y, I can do elimination. But if both equations have both variables with one with an x squared and one without, and one with a y squared and one without, like this, here and here, you can't do elimination. It's not possible. So you have to do substitution. So let's talk about how to make that happen. To do substitution, you need one of your equations solved for one of your variables. It doesn't technically matter, but I am always going to tell you, you should solve for a linear variable. So do not solve this for x, do not solve this for y, because neither of those are linear terms. Either solve this one for y, which it already is, or solve this one for x. So this one is already taken care of for you. Now you're going to substitute. So those of you who are not as confident with substitution, the way this works is you're going to take the variable that you have solved, which is y, in the other equation, y. Just the y, not the squared. You're going to take that out, and you're going to substitute in what y equals. It equals x plus 2. So this first equation becomes x squared plus, take out y and plug this in. And you must use parentheses. And then your squared on the outside equals 4. Okay. I know you're going to do this wrong. You're going to look at this, and you're going to go to do your simplifying using your algebra, and I know you're going to do this wrong. Because I know that you are going to try and tell me that x plus 2 squared is x squared plus 4. But no, it is not. I need you to remember that when you square something, that means to multiply it by itself. So this is x squared plus x plus 2 times x plus 2 equals 4. And then when you have it written out this, you remember that you need to do your FOIL. So I get x squared, and then I'm going to do plus x times x is x squared. X times 2 is 2x. 2 times x is 2x. And 2 times 2 is 4, equal to 4. X plus 2 squared is not x squared plus 4. You have to FOIL it. So please do that. So then I'm going to just combine like terms. X squared and x squared are 2x squared. 2x plus 2x is 4x. Plus 4 equals 4. Now, I have a quadratic equation that I can solve by factoring or completing the square, which you probably won't do, or quadratic formula. I'm not going to do any completing the square examples because I'm pretty sure none of you do that. You all do either factoring or quadratic formula. So I'm going to show you this problem. I factored here, so I'm going to do quadratic formula here. If you are a factor person, if you like to factor, you're going to be able to factor all of these problems. You're also going to be able to quadratic formula all of these problems. Do not worry about getting good at both of them. Get really good at factoring or really good at quadratic formula. I'm just showing you a different example because some of you like quadratic formula, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Remind you how to do that. Quadratic formula needs everything to one side set equal to 0. So I need to subtract this 4, which subtracts from its 4 there. That's going to give me 2x squared plus 4x plus 0 equals 0. Do you need to put a plus 0 there? No, you do not, but sometimes it's helpful for you to remember that that means your C value is 0. So A, B, C. Now, back here, I did divide everything by 3 because it all could divide by 3. You can do that here. 2, 4, and 0 can all be divided by 2. So if that makes your life easier, you can divide everything by 2. Gives you x squared plus 2x plus still 0 equals 0. Now you have A is 1, B is 2, and C is 0. And you can do the quadratic formula, which is negative b, so negative 2, plus or minus the square root of b squared, so 2 squared, minus 4 times a times c, so 4 times 1 times 0, all divided by 2 times a, which is 2 times 1. And you're going to start simplifying. I will definitely tell you that factoring is going to take fewer steps, less space. Okay, so just FYI. Negative 2 out front, plus or minus. In my calculator, square root of 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times 0. I get 2. I took the square root, so I'm not writing the square root symbol down. I already did it. See, in my calculator, square root, all that, just 2. All divided by 2, because 2 times 1 is 2. This is where my quadratic formula people need to remember there are two answers. Negative 2 plus 2, all divided by 2. And negative 2 minus 2, all divided by 2. Negative 2 plus 2 is 0. 0 divided by 2 is 0. Negative 2 minus 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. These are your two x values. It's not a coordinate point. You're not done. This is not 0, 2 as your answer. Negative 2. This is x value is 0. I need to find the y value. And x value is negative 2. I need to find the y value. If you were to factor, you should still have these two answers as your x values. If you don't, but you factored, this is where you raise your hand and have Mrs. Mullen come help you figure out what you did wrong. So x is 0 and x is negative 2. So I'm going to take those answers and I'm going to plug them back in for x, either here in the first one or here in the second one. Why would I recommend you probably use the second one? I hope you said either because the first one is not linear or because the second one is already solved for y. Either of those two reasons are great reasons to use the second one. To find y, you're going to do y equals x, which is 0, plus 2. 0 plus 2 is 2, so one of your answers is 0, 2. Why does 0 come first? Well, because in a coordinate point, 0 comes first. X comes first. 0, 2. Now I need to repeat that process by plugging in negative 2. So y equals negative 2 plus 2, which is 0. That solution is negative 2, 0. So your two answers are 0, 2 and negative 2, 0, which you can check. I don't really need to check the second one because that's where I got that answer from. You can check it in the top one. Do 0 squared plus your y value, which is 2 squared. It equals 4. Good job. That is a solution. Now check your other one. Plug in your x value squared plus plug in your y value squared also equals 4. Good job. That's also a solution. All right, let's go on to number 3. You can do either elimination or substitution in this example because your y's are just y's. Neither of them are quadratic. So that was the issue back up here. So you had a quadratic. So I'm going to do another elimination problem. So those of you who liked elimination can see another example of that. If you are not an elimination person, I'm going to recommend you try this problem on your own using substitution and check it with the answer when I'm done. Or skip to number 4, do that with me in the video, and then come back and do number 3 either on your own or with me in class. So if you are an elimination person, you probably skipped 1 and you should probably skip 3. Do those on your own or with me. If you are an elimination person, do this one together and then everyone will do number 4, but we'll have to use substitution there. So with elimination, remember we had to have all of your terms lined up. So we have our x squareds and we have our y's. Those are good. But I need an x term here. So kind of before we need to, in this problem, squeeze in that 0 term. So I'm just going to write this one below as x squared plus y equals 0x minus 3. And then I need to remember I need opposites. But right now I have y and y. So I just need to switch all those signs. Negative, negative, 0 is still 0. Make that a positive. Switch all of your signs. So the positive became a negative. The positive became a negative. The negative became a positive. And you're going to add those two equations together. 2 plus negative 1 is 1x squared. Y plus negative y is 0 equals 7 plus 0 is 7x. And negative 9 plus 3 is negative 6. And at this point, you can solve using factoring or the quadratic formula. Doesn't matter. I'm going to go through another quadratic formula one, just so people can see it. If you are a factoring person, though, feel free to factor. You should get the same answers. If you don't, you ask me for help. In either case, quadratic formula or factoring, you need to get everything to one side set equal to 0. So up to you, it doesn't really matter. However, I'm going to recommend you move these two terms because we don't really like to have a negative x squared. So I'm going to subtract the 7x and add the 6. So I get x squared minus 7x plus 6. Opposite, opposite, equals 0. Factoring people, go forth, try to factor. You should get the same x values that I do when I do the quadratic formula. And if you don't, that's where you should pause and get Mrs. Mullins help. Get my help. Get my help to finish factoring it or correcting it or whatever you need. Quadratic formula people, though, a is 1, b is negative 7, and c is 6. So negative of b, which is going to be a positive 7, plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c, all divided by 2 times a. It's going to be 7 plus or minus, I'm going to do square root of 7 squared minus 4 times 1 times 6, and I get 5. Not square root of 5, because I already took the square root. So it's just 5. All divided by 2 times 1. So where you got your two answers. 7 plus 5 over 2 and 7 minus 5 over 2. 7 plus 5 is 12. 12 divided by 2 is 6. 7 minus 5 is negative. 7 minus 5 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Those are your two x values. Factoring people. Those should be your two x values. Now take those and plug them in. Now, this is a situation where you don't already have one solved, but it doesn't really matter which of the two you use because we're going to find y, and both of your y's are already linear. I'm going to recommend the top one because the top one has the x squared by itself as opposed to this one having it not. And also there's a second x value, just the first one is usually easier. So everywhere you have an x, we need to plug in 6. So I'm going to use x squared plus y equals negative 3. Plugging in 6 for x. So 6 squared plus y equals negative 3. 6 squared is 36 plus y equals negative 3. So I need to subtract 36. So y equals negative 39. So that coordinate point is 6, negative 39. Which you can check in the other one. 2 times 6 squared plus negative 39. Now I don't know what it equals yet because I have some stuff over here. It should equal 7 times x, which is 6, minus 9. 33 equals 33. Good job. Oh, sorry. I didn't realize you couldn't see everything I was writing. Pause the video. Feel free to get that caught back up. Sorry about that. So I took the top equation, plugged in my x value. 6 squared is 36. And since it's positive, I subtracted. Negative 3 minus 36 is negative 39. Now do it again. X squared plus y equals negative 3. This time plugging in 1 for x. So 1 squared plus y equals negative 3. 1 squared is 1 plus y equals negative 3 minus the 1 because that's positive. So y equals negative 4. So your solution should be 1, negative 4. There are your two answers, which you can check this one with the bottom. 2, and your x value is 1 squared plus negative 4. Then typing in the bottom part, or the right part, 7 times 1 minus 9 is also negative 2. So since those two things are equal, that is the right answer. All right, last problem. You have to do substitution because you have squareds on both of your y's. So we're going to do this one. This is the one we're going to solve for to use substitution. So it doesn't matter, but notice that the x is positive. So if you add your y to the other side, life is easy. So if you add y, this becomes x equals 3 plus y. Or y plus 3, doesn't matter. You're going to, in the other equation where your x is, you're going to substitute what we just found x equals and plug it in there. So in parentheses, you have 3 plus y minus the 2, all squared. Right, the entire thing that x equals, but I still have a minus 2 in parentheses is squared on the outside. Plus y plus 3 is all squared equals 4. One moment. I know this likes to do this on you. All right. Now, just like we talked about in number 2, you need to make sure that you expand this correctly using FOIL. However, before you do so, you should notice in this first set of parentheses, you have some like terms. So this is going to become y plus 1 all squared, right? 3 minus 2 is 1. You can't do any more combining like terms. You have to expand it out correctly first. So this is y plus 1 times y plus 1. And then this is y plus 3 times y plus 3 equals 4. Then you need a FOIL. Y times y is y squared. Y times 1 is 1y. 1 times y is 1y. 1 times 1 is 1. Then again, y times y is y squared. Y times 3 is 3y. 3 times y is 3y. 3 times 3 is 9, equal to 4. Combine like terms, all the like terms. Y squared and y squared is 2y squared. Then you've got 1, 1, 3, and 3. So 1 and 1 is 2, 3 and 3 is 6, 2 and 6 is 8. And then you've got 1 and 9, which is 10, set it equal to 4. Now you are going to solve by factoring or quadratic formula. You could notice, though, that you got 2, 8, 10, and 4. All can be divided by 2. Make life easier. Do it. So y squared plus 4y plus 5 equals 2. Whether you quadratic formula or you factor, you should get it equal to 0. So subtract that 2 to get y squared plus 4y plus 3 equals 0. I'm going to factor to give another example where you factor. If you want to complete the square or quadratic formula, do so. You should get the same y values this time. Notice we're solving for y. Same process, same idea, but we are going to have the y values to then plug in to solve for x. So factoring. I have 1 times 3 is 3. Two numbers that multiply to be 3, but add to be 4 are 1 and 3. Bring this over here. I'm running out of room. That's going to give me y plus 1 times y plus 3 equal to 0. So y plus 1, so that means y equals negative 1, and y plus 3 means y equals negative 3. Those are your y values. You now need to solve for x. So you should use this right here where we have x equals 3 plus y. So x equals 3 minus 1, which is 2. So you have a coordinate point of 2, negative 1. Teeny tiny small. And same thing, x equals 3 minus 3, x equals 0. 0, negative 3.